Now,
No,
we know what it is.
let's assume he
This
stays
is a
fit all
mess,
season.
though.
I actually think that
I don't
Chelsea
think
are about to get a transfer ban. That's what I think, and I think that they know that they're not about to be able to sign players for like a season or two. And they're just like, yo, every
My
3
friend,
business days,
Will, I can't lie.
let's just
My
sign
friend said
players
this.
because
My friend said this. My friend said this to me today at work. I was talking to him. He's a Chelsea fan, yeah. I was like, "It's fucking mess. What's going on in your club?" And he was like, "Bro, honestly, I'll be right. I think they have a transfer ban. They've been told that they're gonna get a transfer ban. They're not releasing it obviously officially, but they've been told that they're gonna get a transfer ban. It's looming, and they're just getting all these players to get the transfer ban. But even then, like if you're getting a transfer ban already." God forbid if you get the PSR rules, because now they're literally hitting teams with the madness.
Sad.
Question I've got. Sorry, let me just jump in. Let me just jump in a second,
Okay.
because I don't want to go away from what Will said for a moment. What do you think they're getting a transfer ban for, Will? And for how long? Like, what makes you think this? Like, what's giving you that feeling?
So I don't know the specifics, right? Like, I'm not an accountant, but the way that Chelsea are spending money and buying players, some just seems off. Like, it just doesn't seem normal. Like, they're getting a here we go every 2 business days. Like, they're getting here we goes as fast as you'll get your Amazon package. Like, it's actually crazy, the business that they're doing. They're also stockpiling on a lot of young talent from South America, from like around Europe. They're also, so to me, I think it's kind of like what he said at the bottom, that they might have been told, yo, like, it's not really looking that good for you guys in terms of like once we look into like your books. So it's kind of like, if you know that a storm's coming, right? You're gonna go to the supermarket, you're gonna stockpile up on food and items so that when it hits, you could, withstand it for a little bit. And I think that's what Chelsea are kind of.
But Will, you know what? That's speculation. It's speculation. I think it's speculation, and I'll tell you why. If you look at Chelsea, I'm not as much as I don't want them to succeed, and as much as I hate that club, they're moving players out as fast as they're getting players in as well. If you go look at the amount of players they've moved out in the last week and a half from their academy, Chelsea has literally moved out a lot. Like, to you, it might be nothing, but you see all that 5 million, 3 million, 8 million, 7 million.
Yeah, like it adds up.
That is full profit. And you move out 10 of those guys. That's 80 million in the background you've moved out. So PSR, I don't think is the real issue for Chelsea. I just think that they're very disorganized. I just think they're very, very, very disorganized. Because if you do the maths right, and you say, oh, well, they're buying so many players right now, but they're giving out long-term contracts. So they're not spending, like, on a yearly, if they pay 60 million for a player, they're paying 10 million this year, and they're paying 10 over the next 6 years. Yeah. So on their books, it's 10 million this year. It's not 60 million this year. Meanwhile, in the same year, they've moved out 4 academy players for 40 million.
No, so but they made even more than that. No. They've done even more than that. They've done over 100 million in academy players, because
exactly. See what I'm saying?
Matson,
so
Lewis Hall, Murray Hutchinson, and they're probably going to get rid of Tomori. They're then going to have Conor Gallagher. They could be nearer 140 to 150 million in sales.
Like Chelsea,
now,
they do
and
sell well,
and there's 2 things in this. Whatever player you sell, it counts as instant income on your business. So it doesn't matter if they're an academy player. No, not full profit. I'll get to that. So it doesn't matter if they're an academy player or bought last year. If you sell someone today for 80 million, the income on your trading accounts says 80 million pound of income. However, it's full profit if they're an academy player, or if you don't have any outstanding debt on them. So for instance, if you buy a player for 60 million, but you're paying it off over 8 years, and you sell him 3 years in, you still theoretically owe money on that player. So it's not going to be 100% profit. So the fact they've sold all these guys, they're going to make, I don't think they're stockpiling for a transfer ban, maybe to do with the stuff that they've mentioned for him. Yeah. I think a lot of this stockpiling is to sell and make more money in the future. I really do. I think that in my opinion, Chelsea have made 3 signings this summer, maybe one of the youngsters. The rest of what they're doing wrong is communication. And we had Chelsea fans on this morning. I think they got it so spot on. They think the communication is off. Stop making a fanfare for all these kids and just buy them quietly under the table. Make sure that Man United have bought loads of youngsters in the last few years. Loads. None of them appear on transfermarket.co.uk. They're not on there because Fabrizio don't know about them. The club just announces it in a little footnote on the website. And it just sort of says Man United have paid £1 million for Harry Amas from Watford, but that we don't make a big song and dance. When you get the fan, everyone goes, "Oh, you've signed 15 players." I reckon a lot of our clubs have signed similar amounts of youngsters in the last 2 or 3 years, but we just don't know about it.
And I think it's a little different though, Terry, because they're spending big money on these youngsters, like 20 million.
This is true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Million. So like, like this isn't like you guys signing the kid from like Arsenal for for like free or for like $1 million or whatever. Like these are kind of big deals.
Yeah,
for
but we'll think about this. But we'll think about
highlighted.
We'll think about it, right? Obi Chido Martin's deal is a small deal, but yet it was talked about, but it wasn't something that they glossed over and stayed on. I think Chelsea's communication department, I agree with Terry, has a problem. Regardless of how big the deal is, you can pull that deal off, and by the time you want to talk about the money, it's all right. The deal is done. The kid is in. It's all done. We're talking about the youngsters that they're buying, right? Don't go announcing, oh, we're bringing a guy from Palmeiras in Brazil for 45 million. Don't even just be like, hey, when Real Madrid does it, what does Real Madrid say? They say star kid, wonder kid coming to Real Madrid. We're waiting and waiting and waiting. And then later on, when the kid has arrived, you're like, oh, Hendrick is 6,500. That's when you hear the price, but it's too late.
That's not true, bro. We knew about
no,
it.
Not all.
It's all Fabrizio's fault, really.
I hear you, but who feeds Fabrizio? who feeds Fabrizio information? He gets it from the inside. Yeah, but the agents.
No. I don't think it's the agents feeding Fabrizio with Chelsea. I think it's Chelsea feeding Fabrizio.
It's the
and there's nothing wrong from that from Fabrizio's point of view. If Chelsea rung me now and said, Terry, we're going to give you exclusive transfer information, I'm not going to say no to it. But equally, you can't not report what they're telling you, because that would be. And that's what. So I just think, and I do get what Abdi said here. Abdi's kind of echoed what you've said, Will, which is. You don't get it. No, I do get it. We spend 20 million plus on youngsters that we get traction. That's why it gets traction. But you don't get traction from Fabrizio. You give the information to Fabrizio. You could have still done a lot of these deals in a quieter way. I still think the point remains to a certain degree. You make every deal sound like you're signing a wonder kid who's going to be in this first team squad next year. And that's why I think a lot of your fans and a lot of rivals are well confused with what the strategy is. Is it just youngsters you're buying? You're now looking at more older players, ducking out on players. I just think you need to be you have to be careful of the optics sometimes, because those optics lead to pressure and frustration and anger, and that seeps into a dressing room. And I think this all plays a fundamental part. Viewers, do us a big favor, please, and make sure you've hit the like button. Make sure you are subscribing as well. Kieran here says, an elite centre-back and an Osman, and we are good, in my opinion. Need to offload an awful lot. We will do well, mark my words. How do you guys think? I want to go to Henry first on this. How do you think Chelsea will perform this season?
That's $1 million question. I think their performances will be somewhat what we've seen in pre-season, very much up and down. I thought they played well against Inter Milan, probably deserved the draw and the balance of play. But when I look at output and I look through that entire squad, other than Nkunku and Palmer, I'm looking at it going, right, who's going to drag you through now? That's why I think if they sign Osimhen over the line, then it's a game changer. But I think they could finish anywhere between 5th and 8th, and that's not an agenda. I just think they're stronger. I think Villa are stronger. I think Newcastle without Europe. Like the big thing is going to be is how does Enzo Maresca rotate all of these attackers? Because like the starters that were in last season and Poch towards the end started to pick up some form. And I thought Chelsea would kind of try to pick up where they've left off. New systems been implemented, new tactics, new style of pressing, trying to have a lot more possession style based football now. I don't really know. After the first game against Man City, I mean, I don't know. I don't like saying it's a free hit, but I don't expect Chelsea to win that game. I don't expect Chelsea to draw that game. I think Man City could go and quite easily score 2, 3, 4 goals. But then after that, the first 10 games of Maresca's reign are going to be so important because we know what that Chelsea fan base is like. As soon as they start getting a few L's, it's absolute curtain Albion. But I anywhere between 5th and 8th for me, I think they'll finish. But I think there'll be a lot of good team performances. Kind of like us last year. Hammer a lot of teams, but also get hammered by a lot of teams. Like we conceded 4 against Brighton, 4 against Newcastle.
Spursy.
Yeah, that's kind of when you look at this Chelsea. Tell me, other than Palmer and Nkunku, who's gonna get a lot of GA in that team?
I mean, but you can spread it around though, Henry. Like you don't need somebody to come in and just bag you 20 goals.
How many wide players get more than 10 goals?
I don't think it necessarily has to be like no, but what I'm saying is that like if you're creating chances as a team, right, and your team scoring chances, look, I think Chelsea are gonna cook next season. I think that they will. I think they come like 4th or 5th, like
4th or 5th.
Like, 4th or 5th, bro. Chelsea have a very good squad. Like look at Chelsea's squad, and I think I saw that super chat brought up about how okay, so yes, they do need a striker, right? They do need like a guy that could be in the box and could bag them goals, like a Victor Osimhen. But I think defensively, right, aside from their center backs, like they're a little iffy, but I think if Wesley Fofana could stay fit, I think they'll be solid back there. I think a lot
That's
of
the big
people
question.
forget how good Wesley Fofana is. Like, but before the injuries, he was a really good center back, and it looks like he's fit now, right? It also depends on how Reece James can stay fit as well. They got Malo Gusto. Their midfield is solid. I think they have arguably the best midfield in the Prem, right? With their options, you got Enzo, you have Caicedo, you got Lavia coming off the bench, you have Nkunku who's now fit, right? Dewsbury Hall, and then you have Cole Palmer who was arguably the best signing of the season last summer. Then now you just added Pedro Neto, regardless of his fitness and whatnot. He's still a very good player that I think everybody here would have taken on their team. And then Nicholas Jackson's also not that bad either. He's a good